I think it's the same as every single Canadian. Here we go again. Here we go again. Another day, another threat, another attack from a country that's supposed to be our closest ally, our closest economic partner, our closest security partner. And frankly, Donald Trump just treats Canada like trash over and over and over again. We're supposed to be in a negotiation to try to secure some kind of framework deal to go forward. This letter is just a picket fence of lies. Everything that is said in this letter is untrue. It's just one belligerent set of lies. As though we haven't acted on fentanyl. We've taken action at the border. We've spent billions of dollars. We passed a piece of legislation within his first new parliament after the new prime minister was elected. A piece of legislation, by the way, that many civil rights activists worry extends the powers of the state too far. Donald Trump dismisses it all as inaction. And not only does he threaten a 35% tariff on all goods and services, but he indicates that in addition to that, if we should, by any stretch of the imagination, take umbrage with this attack and this abuse, and if we should apply reciprocal tariffs on him, that he will just increase tariffs even more. At some point, you have to wonder whether there's any point in having further talks with Donald Trump and whether or not the only real reaction from the Canadian government should be to tariff him as hard as possible. At least a flash of strength, hopefully, will catch his attention.
So, Canada and the U.S. in negotiations right now to make some sort of trade deal, and Carney has imposed a July 21st deadline to get that done. What does this latest move mean for that deadline?
Well, these tariffs are to come into effect on August 1st, so says the president in this ridiculous posting. The July 21st deadline, we know, sits out there. It's unclear how these two dates and deadlines intersect. But it does not give you the impression that Donald Trump regards the 21st of July as a serious deadline. It does not give you the impression that he's working toward any kind of pact. It doesn't look like he wants a deal with Canada. It looks like he wants to score political points off of us and dunk. And so you have to wonder at some point, how do you continue discussions? Now, the economic harm, the loss of income, the loss of industry, the need to protect income and industry, it's paramount from the perspective of the Canadians. We know that America can do harm to us, but by the same token, I don't know how we can shrug our shoulders and pretend that we're anything close to a rational, normal, in any way, a typical negotiation. We're not.
How does Canada respond to this?
It's going to be fascinating to see. In earlier instances, when the president has huffed and puffed and threatened to blow our house down, he's been met by calm from Mark Carney, and that has worked to our general benefit. This is such a belligerent move. It's so dismissive of Canada. It's so utterly disregarding of the efforts that supposedly have been underway that you have to wonder whether there's any choice other than to show a flash of steel, show a flash of spine, and to threaten our own reciprocal tariffs. It's hard to imagine that we can just ignore this letter and pretend that discussions are undergoing in some sort of productive, typical fashion. They're not. This process does not seem to be on track, and I don't blame the Canadian government for that. You are dealing with a madman in the White House.
If a deal should emerge by July 21st, how can Canada trust that the states would even abide by it when we're being hit by sudden announcements like this, it seemingly all too frequently?
Yeah, you have to hope that if there were to be a deal, that Donald Trump, by virtue of signing on, would also take ownership and brag, as he does, that it is the greatest deal in history. And at least for some measure of time, he might feel honor bound to it. But this isn't a person who's bound by honor, bound by truth, bound by rational thought and reaction. So it's a question that increasingly you hear from people. What is the virtue and what is the value of an agreement with Donald Trump? What does it get you? What security does it offer us? And these are all the questions that will be ping-ponging around the Prime Minister's office tonight. Make no mistake, this letter is an absolute missile pointed at Canada And you have to wonder, in what respect can this be seen as anything other than an act of economic war?
Yes, it certainly seems that way. Scott, we will have to leave it there. Thank you very much for being here with us this evening, Scott. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Renee.